Ravens fans, welcome to an at-home version of the Baltimore Ravens Rundown. I am your host, Joey Petersen, and we got some pretty brutal news that we're talking about on today's episode as Darius Washington has injured his Achilles, torn his Achilles officially. Ian Rapoport is the one who broke the story, saying sources, Ravens safety Darius Washington, who is expected to play a key role in Baltimore's defense next season, has torn his Achilles. The MRI has confirmed the injury, which occurred during conditioning, will cause him to miss most of or all of the 2025 season. I would be surprised if he was playing any regular season games. I think absolute best case scenario, he's back for the playoffs. This is really, really tough news. I think that Darius Washington, when you look back at 2024, was maybe the biggest reason that the entire Baltimore Ravens defense had that massive turnaround. Once Marcus Williams was benched, once Addy Jackson was not playing football anymore for the Baltimore Ravens, Darius Washington was ushered in, and he was absolutely phenomenal. Right there next to Kyle Hamilton. And immediately, what was one of the worst, if not the worst, pass defense that is, in all of the National Football League, quickly turned to like top 5 almost instantaneously. Darius Washington was one of the reasons that happened. And it's also just really frustrating as well because you now look back at the NFL draft. Who'd you take in round 1? Malachi Starks, safety out of Georgia. You can look at that in two ways. You can look at it, one, in a way that you're thankful that was the selection, where you say, you know what? Kyle Hamilton now goes back to pretty much mainly playing safety. Malachi Starks fills in that Darius Washington role, and you still got two capable guys. That's a good way to look at it, if you don't want to pull your hair out. But you could also look at it and say, oh my gosh, this team was so close to having a defensive back room where Kyle Hamilton could come down and play the nickel. Darius Washington, Malachi Starks, those two guys could be the safeties. And there still would be times, of course, where Darius Washington wasn't on the field. He was probably the third safety on this roster, right? But still, man, to give Kyle Hamilton that freedom, to be that jack of all trades, to be that Swiss Army knife, to be that guy that Zach Orr could use to put anywhere out on the field was such a luxury. It was such a luxury. And now they don't have that anymore. Now that's gone. And you can still use Kyle Hamilton in creative ways, but you don't have the security that you had before that with a guy like Darius Washington. Now it is May 13th. Season doesn't start for 4 more months. I don't know, guys. I'd be shocked if he played any football this year. I think, like I said off the top, best case scenario is he's back for the playoffs. But that's still a really quick recovery for a torn Achilles. And it's just so brutal that this is all happening, in workouts, in the offseason. It's not even training camp. They're not even legitimately practicing. It just feels like you can't catch a break. But again, this is why you drafted Malachi Starks. This is why you added in the defensive back room in the draft. To give yourself a little bit of safety. No pun intended. I will say, now my attention turns to Bo Braid. Now my attention turns to Sanusi Kane. Those two guys, one was a draft pick last year, Kane. One was an undrafted free agent, Braid. Both those guys didn't have to play much last year. They barely played at all. And they were going to step into a limited role in 2025, for sure, limited. But now, those guys are going to have to step up and play some big-time minutes. I don't know who it's going to be out of the two of those. From what I saw from preseason 2024, my guess leans toward Bo Braid. But who knows? We don't know how they developed over the past year. Sanusi Kane was injured in the preseason, so you didn't get to see him fully. One of those two guys is going to have to step up. Okay? one of those two guys is going to have to step up. Now, a question I have is, do they fill this need in free agency? Justin Simmons is still available. That's a really interesting name now. I wouldn't be surprised if they made some kind of a run to just try to shore up this room a little more, to try to have a guy they're a little more confident about throwing out there on the field. Now, I could be totally wrong, right? Zach Orr could be seeing everything that they've got from Bo Bray and Sanusi Kane and being like, you know what? I've got all the confidence in the world in both of those guys. I trust them to come in there and at least play well enough that they can feel confident and not have an ad around them. That could be the case for Zach Orr and ADC and this entire organization. I don't know if it is. I doubt it is. We'll see pretty soon enough if they make a move or not. But regardless, it's devastating. I quote tweeted the tweet and I just said devastated because that's just how you feel. I love Ardarius Washington as well. His career was shaping up to be going in a really positive direction. Just signed that $3.2 million restricted free agent tender. This guy, he was going to be a really, really positive addition to this room, to this roster, or really, really positive piece in this defense in 2025. And now you don't have that. But hey, this is part of football. You just got to roll with the punches. These things happen, right? They happen all the time, unfortunately. And now you just got to deal with it. Now you got to move on. You got to get better. Chidobe Awuzie or TJ Tampa is going to have to step up because now Kyle Hamilton is going to have to shift primarily back to being a safety. That means Marlon Humphrey is going to shift probably primarily to playing inside slot cornerback. So that means Awuzie or Tampa or somebody is going to have to step up and take a lot of outside cornerback role, like snaps. We'll see if they'll be able to do it. But regardless, this is going to take some maneuvering by this coaching staff. It's going to take some maneuvering by this front office. And they're going to have to figure out where to go from here. Ardarius Washington was going to be a massive cog in this defense in 2025. And hopefully it is a smooth and incredibly speedy recovery. And you get into the playoffs and Ardarius Washington's coming back and Kyle Hamilton. You could do all these great things. But I'm just saying, don't hold your breath for that. Thanks for watching, everybody. This has been the Ravens Rundown. I am your host, Joey Petersen. If you guys have not yet, we try to get you the quickest coverage of your Baltimore Ravens. Just got home and cranked out a video as quickly as we could over this news. So if you haven't yet, join us right now by subscribing.